absolutely no part to play in it whatsoever. The way things are structured at the moment, they would make absolutely sure
The Sussex's presence, once an asset, has become a liability. And the palace, patient and precise, has chosen the quietest, deadliest weapon: absence. The effect on Harry is devastating. Once hailed as a brave soldier, a royal heartthrob, a charismatic prince with a rebellious edge that captured hearts worldwide, he is now in limbo. California, the supposed refuge, has become a gilded cage, a place where public adoration exists only in fragments, filtered through media and brand engagements, never in proximity to the institution that could once define him. Every glance in photographs, every staged appearance, every public statement is weighed, measured, filtered. He carries not only the personal weight of estrangement, but the burden of knowing that the very structure he once served now excludes him, reduces him, rewrites him out of relevance. Meghan's ambitions, once a compliment, now amplify the isolation. The bright spotlight she seeks to claim only highlights the shadows around Harry, a space increasingly defined by absence rather than presence. And Meghan, for her part, faces the same chilling reality. The narrative she sought to dominate has slipped from her grasp. Every stage she steps onto, every media moment she orchestrates is a reminder of the authority she cannot command, of a system she cannot infiltrate. The optics are brutal. Every forced smile, every gesture of charm, every attempt to project influence is countered by the quiet mechanisms of erasure. Public fascination wanes as the palace elevates William and Kate. The world sees glamour, polish, tradition, while Meghan's carefully curated persona begins to fray under the scrutiny of repeated exposure and the relentless precision of a system that thrives on control. And so the tension persists. The microdynamics of public performance, the subtle interactions captured in photographs, videos, and fleeting public moments, all tell the story of a couple trapped in the machinery of history and expectation. The drama is in the silence, in the pauses between appearances, in the subtle cues of estrangement, and in the relentless calculus of survival. Every gesture becomes loaded with meaning, every unacknowledged request a signal of exclusion, every omission a deliberate, precise cut from relevance. The audience may see smiles, may witness appearances, but the truth lies in the absence. The quiet, omnipresent void that defines their existence in contrast to the orchestrated prominence of William and Catherine. Harry's dislocation is not merely geographical, it is existential. The structure that once provided identity, purpose, and platform has shifted, quietly yet decisively. Meghan's ambitions, though powerful, cannot counteract the systemic mechanisms at play. Each Netflix deal, each media interview, each public statement only reinforces the reality. The monarchy survives, the institution thrives, and the Sussexes, however glamorous, however brand-conscious, are increasingly peripheral. The silence is deafening. The erasure is methodical, and the stakes are nothing short of personal, legal, and symbolic survival. In every public interaction, in every flash of a camera, the tension is visible. The performances, once seamless, now betray strain. Harry's measured restraint contrasts sharply with Meghan's insistence on visibility. The stage becomes a battlefield of subtle power. Every microphone, every podium, every carefully framed photograph a site of negotiation, confrontation, and exclusion. The palace orchestrates from behind a veil of silence, elevating William and Kate while letting the Sussexes fade, an invisible hand guiding perception, manipulating optics, rewriting relevance. The audience sees glamour. The cameras capture smiles. Headlines celebrate appearances. Yet beneath the surface, an inexorable process unfolds. Absence, exclusion, legal erasure, and the quiet, brutal assertion of a centuries-old institution. Harry and Meghan, once central, now peripheral, are trapped in a limbo of visibility without authority, attention without influence, presence without consequence. Every day, every event, every appearance reinforces the narrative of exclusion, subtly but irrevocably. The monarchy, patient and calculating, does not need dramatic confrontation. Its weapon is silence, its strategy is absence, and its power is perception. Harry and Meghan are spectators in a story they once thought they could shape. Now actors constrained by the scripts others have written, their visibility controlled, their relevance circumscribed, their influence systematically diminished. The drama is cinematic, intense, almost unbearable in its quiet insistence, and the audience, watching in fragments, sees only the surface, unaware of the calculated, deliberate choreography unfolding behind the scenes. Through every flash, every public moment, every gesture, the tension builds. Harry's restraint, Meghan's persistence, the subtle exclusions, the silent erasure, all converge into a narrative that is at once deeply personal and profoundly institutional. The palace does not act openly, yet its decisions reverberate through every aspect of the Sussexes' lives, controlling perception, manipulating optics, and quietly, decisively reshaping the landscape of succession, relevance, and influence. The silence is the story. The absence is the proof. And in this masterclass of strategic control, the Sussexes are being erased not with noise, but with precision, patience, and the unyielding power of absence. Not quite royal, not quite celebrity, Harry exists in a twilight zone of identity and perception. He is a man suspended between two worlds, tethered to neither yet weighed by both, a figure caught in the quiet crossfire of a centuries-old institution and a modern media frenzy. His entire sense of self, once deeply rooted in duty, service, and the lineage of the crown, has been stripped down to a singular function: telling stories about his past. Every interview, every documentary, every carefully crafted page of Spare is a conduit to the very institution that has now, with deliberate and methodical precision, erased him. The cruel irony is inescapable. Each revelation, each confession, each expose, meant to carve out a voice, only serves to reinforce the boundaries of his exclusion. The palace remains silent, and in that silence, the walls of irrelevance close tighter around him. He speaks, yet he is unheard. He acts, yet his gestures carry no authority. Every public recounting of royal experiences, every intimate glimpse into the corridors of Windsor, becomes another layer of the very narrative that isolates him, another illustration of how a man can be both central and invisible at the same time. Meanwhile, Meghan charges forward in California with the energy and determination of someone determined to prove she belongs on a global stage. She builds business empires, trademarks ventures, launches lifestyle brands, and positions herself as an icon of influence and modernity, all while clasping the glittering yet borrowed prestige of the Duchess of Sussex title. But every time she flaunts the title, the palace flinches. To them, her brand is built on borrowed legitimacy, prestige appropriated from an institution she voluntarily abandoned. Each launch, each carefully staged social media post, each press release is met with the quietest but most potent form of resistance: erasure. Invitations never arrive, seats are never assigned, acknowledgments never materialize. The Duchess of Sussex becomes a title without context, a crownless symbol, a shadow of its former authority. Meghan's brilliance, her relentless drive, her mastery of optics, all of it is neutralized not by confrontation but by a calculated void. For Harry, the consequences are even deeper. Born into the lineage of a 1,000-year-old monarchy, trained to serve, to lead, to embody history itself, he now confronts a form of punishment far more devastating than public shame: identity death. The method is slow, deliberate, surgical, a velvet eraser that removes presence without noise, influence without notice. The palace does not issue proclamations, does not strip titles in dramatic ceremonies, does not engage in debates fit for the tabloids. Instead, it operates quietly, invisibly, in the shadows of procedure. Names disappear from official documents. Photographs vanish from archives. Invitations go unissued or conveniently lost. It is a strategy so subtle, so meticulous that the victims cannot fight it. There is no statement to rebut, no headline to counter, no public feud to wage. Only absence, only invisibility, only the suffocating certainty that to be unseen in a monarchy is to be erased from its narrative entirely. And in this silence lies power. Invisibility is lethal in a system built entirely on perception. Every omission, every cropped photograph, every overlooked protocol communicates authority. Diplomats notice. Commonwealth leaders notice. Governments, often trained to read symbolism, recognize every absence as a deliberate assertion. While the world may be distracted by interviews, documentaries, and brand launches, the monarchy is quietly recalibrating perception, reinforcing global confidence in its stability, in its endurance. Harry and Meghan, once considered a modernizing force, are quietly being neutralized. Their presence no longer signifies progress. It signifies unpredictability, instability, a liability that the crown cannot tolerate. The irony is staggering. Harry thought stepping back from the monarchy would deliver freedom. Freedom from the unyielding protocols, freedom from the relentless paparazzi, freedom from the constant shadow of expectation and scrutiny. But what he discovered was a different form of confinement. Freedom from duties, yes, but also freedom from relevance, from recognition, from the very platform that once defined him. The boy who once marched proudly behind his mother's coffin, who vowed a life of service and loyalty, now finds himself reduced to a specter of his former identity, his influence truncated, his authority nullified by the quiet mechanisms of a system he can no longer access. Every public declaration, every recounting of history, every revelation meant to assert individuality only emphasizes the gulf between his past and present, highlighting not freedom but absence. Meghan, too, faces the cruel paradox. Her ambitions, her relentless drive to be seen, to be relevant, to craft a global persona, collide head-on with the palace's calculated indifference. Each time she leans on her Duchess title, she encounters the invisible boundary of legitimacy, the quiet but impenetrable wall erected by an institution that refuses to acknowledge her continued presence. Invitations vanish. Access is denied. Opportunities she believed were hers by right are quietly withheld. The glare of publicity cannot penetrate the vacuum of royal strategy. She is visible, yes, but impotent within the framework that truly matters. The framework of history, tradition, and the institution's control over perception. The cruelty is total. To be seen, but to have no power. To exist, but to have no impact. To shine, yet be irrelevant. And while Harry and Meghan navigate this quiet, inexorable exile, William and Catherine ascend with meticulous precision. Every foreign tour, every public appearance, every staged family photograph is an act of narrative reinforcement. They are carefully projected as the future of the monarchy. Modern yet grounded, glamorous yet duty-bound, family-oriented yet untainted by scandal. Their visibility is the mirror against which the Sussexes' absence is measured. Every polished appearance, every ceremonial gesture, every handshaking photograph sends a subtle but unmistakable message. The monarchy endures. It stabilizes, and the future is embodied in William and Catherine. The contrast grows sharper by the day. Where the Sussexes fade, the Wales family thrives. Where Harry and Meghan are silent, William and Catherine are luminous. Where absence exists, visibility is amplified. And yet, even in the face of this exclusion, Harry persists. Every public appearance, every interview, every page of memoir, every documentary is an attempt to reclaim voice, to assert identity, to demand recognition from an institution that has chosen quiet erasure over confrontation. But each act of visibility is met with systemic neutrality. The palace does not respond, it does not engage, it does not acknowledge. The silence is deafening, omnipresent, an invisible barrier that reinforces exclusion with precision that words cannot match. It is in this tension between assertion and invisibility, between public exposure and institutional silence, that the drama reaches its peak. For Meghan, the struggle is equally acute. Every venture she launches, every brand she trademarks, every lifestyle product she associates with the Duchess title is a statement of relevance, a declaration of presence. Yet the palace refuses to validate it. Her prestige is borrowed, her authority unacknowledged, her position peripheral. Each glossy press release, each social media post, Each staged photograph is a plea for recognition that will never arrive. The palace's strategy is relentless. By elevating William and Catherine, by crafting them as symbols of stability and modernity, by carefully managing visibility and perception, the Sussexes' prominence erodes quietly but absolutely. Public fascination may linger, but in the corridors of power, their influence is null, their presence meaningless. The methodology is chilling. Silence, absence, calculated invisibility. These are not passive forces. They are active, deliberate, and devastatingly effective. In a system built entirely on image, perception, and the careful orchestration of optics, invisibility is lethal. To be ignored by the crown is not merely to be forgotten. It is to be strategically erased from history, to be deprived of influence, to have one's identity systematically stripped of meaning. Every document, every protocol, every ceremonial absence reinforces the narrative of irrelevance. Harry and Meghan's public engagements, their brand ventures, their interviews, none of it can penetrate the fortress of silence. They are visible to the world, but invisible to the institution that truly matters. And here lies the true irony of the Sussexes' plight. Their attempts at relevance, documentaries, interviews, brand expansions, memoirs, are simultaneously their lifeline and their trap. Each revelation of royal life feeds the narrative of disconnection from the crown. Each interview, each exposé, each confession emphasizes the distance between the past they inhabited and the present they cannot access. The palace does not respond. It does not retaliate. It simply waits, observing the Sussexes' efforts to assert themselves, knowing that visibility without power is ineffectual. The couple moves, speaks, performs, yet the chessboard is empty where they wish to claim space. They are actors on a stage that exists only in their perception, not in the institution's reality. Meanwhile, William and Catherine's ascent continues with deliberate care. Each public gesture, each foreign engagement, each ceremonial appearance consolidates their image, creating a mirror through which the Sussexes' erasure becomes even more stark. The monarchy's strategy is both elegant and ruthless. Elevate the successors, maintain continuity, and neutralize liabilities not with scandal or confrontation, but with strategic invisibility. Every polished photograph, every televised appearance, every public moment reinforces the narrative of stability, continuity, and relevance. The Sussexes, meanwhile, are left in shadow, their visibility inconsequential, their presence peripheral, their influence evaporating under the steady application of absence as power. And in this context, the cruelty is compounded. Harry, once a symbol of youthful rebellion, charisma, and connection to the public, is now adrift. California's sunshine cannot restore the grounding that duty once provided. Freedom has become confinement. Every public confession, every storytelling venture, every memoir page is a reminder of exclusion, a signal of the distance between past significance and present irrelevance. Meghan, for all her ambition, encounters the same immutable truth. Borrowed prestige is still just borrowed. Without institutional recognition, visibility is powerless, influence hollow, authority absent. The palace does not acknowledge, it does not concede, it does not correct. The silence is absolute, total, and profoundly effective. Through every public gesture, every camera flash, every brand launch, the tension is palpable. The Sussexes perform on a stage defined by absence, constantly seeking acknowledgement that never arrives. The monarchy does not act overtly. It does not confront, attack, or humiliate. Its weapon is subtler, more devastating, invisibility. And as Lady Colin Campbell reveals, this is the most lethal punishment available: absence within a system that survives on presence. Every omission, every neglected invitation, every erased photograph signals authority, stability, and continuity. The palace does not need spectacle. Its methods are quiet, patient, and profoundly effective. And so, the narrative unfolds with relentless precision. Harry and Meghan navigate a world where visibility does not confer power, where presence does not equate to influence, and where identity is contested not by confrontation, but by absence. William and Catherine ascend as symbols of stability, relevance, and tradition, their every gesture amplified by the vacuum left by the Sussexes. The monarchy endures. The Sussexes are systematically erased. Every public appearance, every brand venture, every attempt to assert relevance only underscores the power of silence, absence, and invisibility as tools of strategic dominance. The palace does not act in anger. It acts in calculation. Every move, every omission, every unacknowledged moment is deliberate. Harry and Meghan, once central figures, now exist in a state of liminal irrelevance, performing for a global audience while being systematically excluded from the institution they once served. The contrast is stark, almost unbearable. Visibility without authority, presence without consequence, ambition without recognition. The drama is real, palpable, and devastating. A masterclass in the quiet exercise of power. In the end, Lady C's revelation is not scandal, it is strategy. The monarchy survives not through confrontation, not through spectacle, but through calculated absence, through the methodical application of invisibility to those who threaten stability. Harry and Meghan's efforts to assert themselves, to reclaim identity, to maintain relevance, collide with an institution that wields silence as a weapon, patience as a tool, and perception as absolute power. Their narrative, no matter how loudly proclaimed, is subordinate to the enduring authority of the crown, the relentless precision of its strategy, and the devastating effectiveness of its quiet erasure. Harry and Meghan believed in freedom, in influence, in presence. What they discovered instead was irrelevance. And the monarchy? It marches on, untouched, unshaken, immortal in its careful choreography, while the Sussexes fade into the shadows of their own making and the crown's relentless strategy. Relentless strategy. This is Crown and Controversy, unraveling the royals, one scandal at a time. Don't forget to subscribe.